What's up, everybody? Jordan here, and I wanted to talk to you today about a story. A beautiful coming of age Christmas tale about a war torn veteran, a man who has been broken physically and mentally from years and years of service to his country, who just wanted to come home and spend some time with his family as we all would and as he deserves to. A young woman who is coming to terms with who she is as an individual, what it means to be a hero, and just maybe putting a end to the constant family drama that she has been suffering since her father's mysterious disappearance years ago. And we cannot forget the lovable furry young pup here who is on his everlasting quest to eat pizza. That's right, everybody. We are talking about Disney's Marvel Studios' Hawkeye, the most recent show to come out on Disney Plus. Number 4, I believe, in the series. They've had like 4, maybe 5, I don't know. But yes, starring Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld. That's right, everybody. As I said, the newest Disney Plus show to release for Marvel, Hawkeye, has just come out. Episodes 1 and 2 are now streaming. There's going to be a total of 6. So let's see how it goes. So far, it's pretty good, I think. But let's talk a little bit about what we've seen and maybe what to expect. All right, our story this time begins with our young new protagonist, Kate Bishop, who it starts actually with a pretty cool scene where they are showing from her perspective. It's in 2012, and they're showing the original Avengers attack, and just kind of from her perspective what it's like. She sees Hawkeye saving people and everything, and she decides to be a hero from there. So then she tells her mom, I'm getting a bow. And immediately this kid, I don't know what her family does, but they are filthy, disgusting rich people. I don't know why, I don't know how, but they are in a mansion when the Avengers, their house is bigger than Stark Towers. She's looking down at Stark Towers as it's destroyed while they're in their 100-story utopian mansion future society skyscraper. But I will not jabble on the little details. It starts with her seeing Hawkeye, deciding she wants to be a hero. She's going to get a bow and she's going to kick some ass. So she decides to go out, gets her bow right here, gets some purple clothes, and learns martial arts. So yeah, a lot of episode 1, or at least most of episode 1 is just establishing who Kate is as a character, establishing, her dad disappears right as here, let me see something. So yeah, in the first episode, basically the Avengers thing happens. She decides to be a hero, and her dad mysteriously disappears. It's actually kind of comical how mysteriously she's literally talking to him, and she says, but Dad, what do you, he's telling her like, hey babe, you're like, honey, come down for dinner. It's time for dinner. And the daughter just goes like, but Dad, what are you going to do when the hurricane comes? The dad's just like, I'm going to do what I always do, honey. I'm going to protect you. And then literally 30 seconds later, when he says that, that's the last time you see this man's face. The father, who is played by, let me see here, I don't even know. It was such a brief. This guy, Derek Bishop, Brian DeArkey James. DeArkey, this guy right here, and he's got the mustache. You know he's up to no good. The mom, Vera Farmiga, you know she's up to no good. And that's right off the bat. But as I was saying, it starts with that. It's a really awesome scene. The effects are really good. Marvel really is coming with the fire when it comes to these special effects. Movie quality, I'm sure you've heard before. But to get past the first 2 minutes of the episode, after that, it jumps forward in time, and you see Kate Bishop after she has developed all of her abilities. That is where this picture is actually from. There's a humorous little scene right here, where she shoots the clock tower, knocks it over, and then laughs because she is a degenerate. But that's the point of the show, because Hawkeye is going to teach her what it means to protect and to be a pillar in which people can lean upon. So after that, she is causing trouble, and they're developing her character. She's young, she likes to get up to no good, and she's just trying to have fun. She has some issues with her mom ever since her dad disappeared. Her mom seems, like the super, like the cliche super rich parent where they're not really involved. Like, there's a point where the mom invites her to a Christmas party, a billionaire Christmas party, and the mom, that's like the mom's way of telling her that she found a new man and got engaged. So just very, like a standoffish, doesn't really want, definitely has something of her own going on. Without spoiling too much, they definitely show that both of her parents got some weird stuff happening. But overall, as I said, episode 1 is mostly about just developing Kate as a character. And I gotta say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't remember her name. Haley Steinfeld right here. She does a pretty good job in that first episode. I have to say, Marvel's always had that good old Marvel charm where they just kind of know how to cast their characters for the most part. And I'd say she's a pretty good addition to the team. I'll get to that later. That's something later. But she does good. That scene with the bell where she's standing there and knocks it down and stuff. It's pretty early on, but she does the comedy pretty good. The whole Marvel comedy thing where it's just like the quick-witted back and forth. She has good chemistry, and especially with Jeremy Renner. So that, I will say, is a huge plus for the show. All the actors, for the most part, do a pretty good job. As far as Kate, Jeremy go, the dog's real good. Hawkeye and his family's dynamic is really nice. But let me get a little bit back to episode 1 here, which is mostly about Kate, where she eventually, by the end of the episode, as we've seen. So yeah, and then, like I was saying, episode 1, it's all about the girl, Haley Steinfeld, and Kate Bishop becoming her own hero, kind of establishing her motivations and her qualifications, because it really is just her until the last scene of the episode, without spoiling too much, is when they introduce Hawkeye. And that's probably why they dropped 2 episodes at once. I don't know, maybe it's a Disney thing. Maybe they didn't want to disappoint people without having that Jeremy Renner too soon. But as far as the first episode goes for developing the character, the acting was pretty good. The villains, I can certainly say, have a bit of a cliche-ness to them. Let me see here. Who is it? Tony Dalton plays Jack Duquesne, who is a character. I don't want to get in too much about who he is, but characters like Jack, characters like Armand, they have a certain cartoonishness to them that can be a little bit much. Like kind of waters it down a little bit. It feels like they got like the big handlebar mustaches. So it's either clearly trying to like show you, oh, they're the bad guy, or hey, it's the bad guy just so it cannot be. It's got to be one of those kind of situations. Then you get to episode 2, where it is about Hawkeye teaching her, showing her a little bit of, you're getting a little bit of a, story of, because, all these shows are about everybody and what they're doing after the snap and after everybody comes back, and so Hawkeye, obviously, he, last time you saw him, he was like, he was in New York, in Chinatown or something, and he was like a rogue ninja. He was the Ronin, just, taking down all the mafias by himself, a real good guy. But because of that, he made a few enemies, which is an aspect of the show. I mean, you see from the trailer here, it's a thing where the Ronin comes back. You see this suit right here. And the Ronin, as you can tell, is not Jeremy Renner. Who is the Ronin? It's Kate Bishop. I'll say that. It's not even really a spoiler. Kate Bishop gets her hands on the suit without saying how or why, but this is basically why they meet and how they start having their shenanigans together and how they meet my boy Pizza Dog right here with the little reef. But I don't want to get into spoiling too much or anything. I will say, before I get into spoilers, the first two episodes, really solid. I was interested from beginning to end. I thought that the acting overall was pretty good, as minus a couple of more cliche characters. The acting was good. The music, it's got a lot of Christmas tunes and stuff. They're definitely trying to give you the Christmas vibe. I don't know, like a Die Hard for kids kind of thing, maybe. But it's Christmassy, it's fun, it's Hawkeye, got the Avengers. And if you're into the Marvel stuff, like, you're going to like it. I like it a lot, and I've honestly been a little disappointed by some of the shows that Marvel's been producing. For the most part, they're good, but, like, I don't know. It's not as strong as maybe I would have hoped. But this is a really good beginning for the Hawkeye, a beloved character that everybody already knows. And I got high hopes. We'll see, though, because I'll make a video at the end of the season to show you if it's all that. But before I get into spoilers, I'll leave it there. Really solid. Check it out. Alright guys, now it is time for spoiler territory. This is what we've really been waiting for. Who is the Ronin? Like I already said before spoilers, it is Kate Bishop. Okay, so episode 1, like I was saying, her parents are all rich and uppity. Her mom invites her to this Christmas party. And then her boyfriend Jack is Jack is Eleanor, Jack is the mom's new love interest. They are engaged by the time you meet him, and they just make him seem like one of those guys. He is the one with the handlebar mustache. He's the one where, they have like a fencing match, and he's clearly holding back because he can easily take her out, and she knows it. She tries to kill him. She tries to not, and when I say she, let me be clear, this is Haley Steinfeld. Oh my god, let me talk by their actual character names. This is Kate Bishop trying to stab Jack in the face with a fencing sword because she doesn't fuck around. And Jack is all about this trickery. Okay, so, and this is one of the things where the show gets a little cliche or a little cartoony. The only issue is, like, when Kate gets the suit, and this is more cliche than anything. So she gets the suit, and it's what leads to this part where she gets on the news. It's that her mom's having, the banquet for all the billionaires where they just laugh at poor people. And then fucking Kate just starts following because, they're showing that there's drama between the mom. There's the guy over here, Armand, who is Jack's father, I believe. And I'm going to say it. I already got my own theories. I think these motherfuckers are clones. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I think there is some kind of big cloning conspiracy in this show. Because you got Armand, who looks and talks and acts the same as Jack, who looks and talks the same as, I don't know if this is the right kid, but Frafi? There's basically a little kid who looks and talks the exact same. It's weird. So I got this cloning theory that there's like 3 different clones, different ages of the same person. I think the mom's a clone, and I'm going to go as far as to say Kate Bishop is a clone, because I don't care. Now, as I was saying, before I got all off onto that tangent, she goes, and they're literally beneath the ball, there's a literal underground auctioning event where they're auctioning off really rare, like, dinosaur bones. They're auctioning off Avengers things. There's a watch. I believe it's Tony Stark's watch. She's snooping around because she looks like she works there. It was one of the jokes. Her mom told her to dress a certain way, and she ended up just to, be rebellious, dressed up as one of the staff at the event. So she's getting away with kind of snooping around, peeping on everybody. And that's when they pull out the Ronin, the suits and the sword, which I didn't realize if it was like this in Avengers. But that sword is like a lightsaber, dude. That shit retracts and extends and everything. It's the coolest sword. I gotta quit bumping my mic. It's the coolest sword. So the sword And this is something else. The sword comes out for auction, and you already know, Slappy Jack is right there because he wants that sword. He's a swordsman. He wants specifically the Ronin sword. And with him and Armand being such rich buddies, they're talking to Armand's like, dude, what? How are you gonna try to buy this sword? I know you're broke. And Jack's just giving him sass and stuff because they're clones. They're the same guy. So then this is when, and this is another issue. So I'm gonna be a little messy with this. She's there trying to escape getting in trouble for not actually working there. And then she just happens to hear these guys. She just hears these guys talking Russian behind a door. And then that's how, it turns out to be she's in like the wrong place at the wrong time. And the Russians break in to steal, in particular, Tony Stark's watch. And while she's there, they blow up a door. She puts on the suit, kicks some ass, and then ends up on the news. And it's all okay. It's a pretty cool scene. It's a little cliche. I don't know. I know it is like part of the whole hero storytelling thing. Oh, she's right there and there just happens to be the suit. So she just like had to put it on so she could help everybody. But it's one of those things where it's like, she didn't even really have to help anybody when you think about it. Nobody was in really danger. They came and they were even saying like, they had these weird accents. They're like, bro, I won't shoot you if you give me the watch, bro. And then she just jumps and drop kicks that guy in the face. She chose violence, and that's why she's on the news, not the tracksuit mafia. So she goes, takes down all of them, and it's not bad. I mean, it's cool. I feel like they built her up enough for it to be believable that she's fighting them. There's a few things where it's like she'll kick a wine bottle and just it's like perfectly angled to fly and knock somebody out. There's like some silly stuff like that. But overall, it's a pretty decent fight scene. And that's where she meets Jeremy Renner because he sees her on the news and he obviously wants to track down his suit. He knows all of the enemies that he made while he was the Ronin, and he doesn't want anybody else to have to deal with the consequences or the fallout of these actions. All right, and basically episodes 1 and 2, they introduce the villains that are kind of giving me some trouble here. And when I said that it can get kind of cartoonish to the point that it takes you out of it, I wasn't talking about the Waluigi brothers. I was talking these two right here. I wish you could see him with his let me look it up, Jack Ducans. And there he is, my boy Jack, Slick Jack over here with his sword and everything. This is right before he deflects a attempted face stab without looking, and then he makes this exact fucking smirk while he twirls his mustache and says, meh. So it's one of those things. So it's like, what are you doing, Disney? Are you trying to... Is it really this obvious that he's a villain? Or are you trying to do something where you're pretending, oh, see how villainous and obviously bad guy like this guy is? Well, it turns out he's not the bad guy. Because either way, it feels like a fuck you. Either way, look at him. That is the face of a sick murderer. Those are the eyes of a killer. And look, I'm picking his nose right here while I'm at it. The eyes of a killer, I tell you. So, and that isn't even as cartoonish as it gets, folks. Listen here, if you want to talk about cartoonish, I'll show you a fucking cartoon. I'll show you a fucking cartoon right here. Look at Exhibit A. Look at this. This is the mafia in the show that Kate Bishop needs to be afraid of. So remember in Avengers Endgame when he was going and taking down the underground, basically the Batman of Marvel, but not Moon Knight. He was kicking ass and taking names. And then you realize that these are the guys that he was, the tracksuit mafia. The tracksuit, the turtleneck mafia. So these guys all wear red tracksuits. They're all just Russian guys. Look, there's even a little picture showing you compared to the comics. These are the three main guys. Oh, look, they do say bro. Wow. But these guys are a little much for me. They come and they're just so goofy to the point that they're like a Three Stooges character. In this exact scene, they are standing in the middle of lights. They're just laughing, having fun, throwing Molotov cocktails into a building. And it's just, there doesn't really seem to be any kind of urgency during it's comical. These guys are sitting here laughing and being stupid to the point that Hawkeye is like throwing Molotov cocktails back at them, and they look at each other and say, bro, you're on fire, bro. Whoa. And that these guys are so dumb that they don't even feel pain in this show. And it's one of those things, you know. I can forgive cartoonishness. I can forgive silliness. I can't forgive this. I can't forgive Jack Dukins or the Tracksuit Mafia. I mean, I can forgive it, and I'm going to. I enjoy the show very much. But these are just the things that really get to me. It's where you really start to feel the Disney of the show, where it's like, what are these guys, Home Alone villains? What is Kevin McAllister in that fucking building you're throwing the cocktail at? Because I can't tell the difference. I can't tell that there's a special agent trained archer that took on Thanos, Ultron, what was the guy in the first one? Thanos again, Loki. These guys, it's one of those things. Now that I talk about it, it's one of those things. When you go from such high stakes to something like this to Home Alone, it's quite a bit of a watering down of what's already been established. You know, and I feel like this is something that could be said for a bit of the Marvel properties that have been coming out lately. It's a bit of a watering down of what you're used to. So, without going on too long about it, the bad guys so far are goofy. They introduced the leader of the Tracksuit Mafia, who is I should have pulled her up. They only showed her for a second. It was this woman, and I don't even think she was wearing a tracksuit. So, I don't know. She should have been wearing a tracksuit, and if she is, then brava, Marvel. Kudos to you, and I take back everything if she's wearing a tracksuit. All right, and so that's just going more into the villains. You know, there's the other stuff that happens. It's kind of, you've seen it before. You got Hawkeye. He's the older guy. He's the one who's too old for this job. I feel like they could potentially just be setting up another Black Widow situation where this show is really just about Kate Bishop and her rise to becoming the new Hawkeye. Because Jeremy Renner, you know, in the show, they show he's getting old. He's got a hearing aid. He's not part of the Avengers. Like, the Avengers isn't really a thing anymore. Or I don't know. Not in the same way. Because she asks him at one point, oh, you know, like, what about Tony Stark? Can't he buy you medical supplies? Or what about the Avengers headquarters? And Hawkeye straight up tells her, like, nah, Tony sold that shit. He sold that shit, and then he dipped before Endgame. So the Avengers wasn't really a thing anymore. And that is something cool that they've been showing with these new shows. So yeah, without blabbing on too much, I can't think of too much else that really comes to mind. Overall, it's a good show. Overall, I enjoy it, and overall, I'm going to finish it. And I suggest everybody else does too. You know, Marvel's always bringing the heat. I'm always going to be a Marvel fanboy, and how could you resist when they got a cute little puppy like that? Oh yeah, that dog, I feel like is going to be pretty important. The dog has one eye, and I feel like that's very deliberate. The secret to the cloning technology lies within the dog's eye socket. That's why the dog is blind in one eye, because he sees more than we could ever know. He is the answer. He is the hero, and he will become the new Hawkeye. And he also eats a lot of pizza. But thanks everybody for watching. Go check out some Hawkeye, and I'll see you again with our next review where we talk about nothing really. Take it easy, guys.